Alright, we're in the phase where we're going to start working at getting the timing chain installed. We actually went to the dealership and got dealership quality parts. This is one of the few times I'm going to tell you, do not use Chloe's. Okay? And I'm going to tell you why. The 3.8 actually incorporates a hub for the oil pump on this side and the gear for the chain. Business as usual, no problem there. What GM found is when people started doing these timing chain jobs and they started using a steel gear, alright, that the magnet here would actually magnetize the ring and you would get a fuel sync error. I'm not sure, I don't remember which code it is, but it's a cam sync code. In the old days it would be a 41, 42, but PO codes have changed that. But this has to be aluminum. So when the steel goes around the trigger wheel, it actually knows, okay, at 25 degrees, boom, time for fuel. Boom, time for fuel. Well, if this thing is magnetized, it's not time for fuel every second of the rotation of this. So, you must go to GM and get this part. Part number, as far as I could tell, is going to be either 2450-5306. This is for the upper gear. Z24-106-D1. That leaves me the next thing. When you get the chain, we're also going to put an OEM style chain that also has the color link on it. Now I want to take care of a couple questions I get a lot. Some of these questions are good, some of these are kind of interesting. I had one guy ask, can you actually soak a chain for too long? The answer is no. We did a chain once where one of us got sick and we weren't able to get to it for about a week. Left the chain in there, no problem, put it on, business as usual, truck's still driving around as we speak to this day. So, when you get ready to get your chain going, you want to definitely soak it in oil. Now normal soak, you know, if you're in a hurry, 30 minutes. I like to soak them for a day. We're not going to be doing this. Today's going to be a quick soak because we're going to use Somali, so we have lubrication till the oil pressure system can do its job. Alright, so 30 minutes later, we're going to grab that out. Other than that, we got to go back to the vehicle and get ready to do this. We got to do a little bit more cleaning. Other than that, I mean, this is pretty much how these kind of repairs are. These are reasons why these repairs cost $600 to $1,000 to do each time you got to open one up. But makes good videos, so. Alright, let's go show you what we got left to do while we let this soak. Yeah, I mean, you can't stop, you can't make it Picasso. It's just got to be clean so it doesn't contaminate, that's all. Okay, we're going to grab the other parts we needed to get this timing chain installed. We're just about there. While we're waiting for the chain to soak, this will be a good time to talk about the cam interrupter, this little plastic piece that has caused some of these engines some turmoil. On the Series 1, these like to run in the front of the cover and destroy. Actually, I got some pictures I'm going to show now of a job that we did. Anyway, the cam interrupter just simply pushes in like so. Okay, on this one.
Yes.
Front, back. Yeah, it goes into the back. And just like so, just pushes in, and that's pretty much it. And as it runs around, there's a sensor called the cam sensor. Boom, on and off switch is a Hall effect. And then the back of that balance shaft squishes here, keeps this guy in line. Alright, now that that's done, our chain is done soaking. Ready to install our timing chain. Alright, so we got all our parts ready to go. The one part we did go aftermarket on is the tensioner. The aftermarket sometimes will do better. The original tensioner we had was probably about 10,000 miles away from ripping and tearing, so this job is going to have to be done either way, whether it was leak or noise in the timing cover. Alright, we got all our pieces ready to go. We'll show you the covered link here in a sec and what we're talking about. Makes it easier for timing this at the 12 o'clock position on your cam. There you go. This all has to slide in together at once, so it's important that you get everything lined up before you put it on. It only goes on one way. You're not at the 1 o'clock position on the keyway.
Not yet. I will when I get down there.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a little different than the Series 1. This is a tough shot to get, folks. Sorry about it. It's the best view we can get you. And this is where you find how much tension or how much your other chain was stretched. If you got to put that cam back a little bit. Hopefully you don't. It should just slide on.
Oh, it's because I have the timing gear on backwards.
Yeah, I was wondering you're going to figure that one out. Oil pump. And if you didn't rotate your engine while you had everything apart, it should all just slide back together like easy peasy. As you notice, there is slop on the chain. Now, that's not because the chain's stretched. That's because there's no tensioner on it. Now, the difference between a stretched chain and chain that's not under tension is the fact the cam and crank are not in sync when your chain is stretched. Once the tensioner is installed, you'll see that this chain will be tight, tight, tight. Alright, let's get you a shot after what it looks like. We're going to get the tensioner on next. That can be the fun part of this job. Alright, so put a little bit of blue Loctite on there, not red, blue, because if this thing ever explodes and you have to go into it again, the guy's going to like you for using blue, not red. Red's permanent, blue makes it kind of hard, double the torque. It's normally is like 35 pound rated bolt, takes 65 pounds to get off.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is the tricky part. Trying to load that bolt while it's under tension and not break the part.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it the other way, but you don't have the arm strength to hold that thing back while you push that together, and I don't want you cracking on that because you cracked the other one.
Well, I was also taking it off and I didn't care, so...
True, true.
Remember what size this was? Yeah, that's it.
Did you make sure that spring got landed right?
The one in the block?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what the torque spec is.
We'll have to get torque specs here in a sec. Check this other side.
Just what I'm curious about is why this is not against this spring right here. Maybe the spring isn't supposed to sit against this. I don't know. See that? I don't think I installed it wrong.
Well, it is aftermarket. It can't mimic the original. Remember that. I'm
Well, I
not worried
think-
about that spring going in the block.
Yeah, it's in the block. No, that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about this spring. This piece of spring right here. Huh.
Does it actually actuate?
Yeah.
And that's just its design.
Huh. That
It is Chloe's design. That's their proprietary design. It's not GM's. We
That
didn't get a
is-
GM one.
is so weird.
It is different. You look at them both, even though they're the same part in theory, they function different.
It's because the only ones I installed were OEM, so I've never seen an aftermarket
It
tensioner.
almost looks like the spring goes 45 degrees, so it spreads all the way across it. But
Well, look, it's working.
oh, you see the pivot arm. So it's an arm type.
Huh.
As long as this side tight, and that's what cares. There's always going to be a little bit of flex underneath.
No, it's good. I was just curious about that spring.
Okay, like pushing on the other side that doesn't have the tensioner, and you should see the tensioner adjust. There you go. Okay, so it's working. Good job. Done. Look at the torque spec here, and I know it's not going to be much. Probably going to be like 25, 30 pounds, but blue Loctite really doesn't set till after the engine gets hot, so we've noticed that. Even sometimes a week after an engine gets hot, this stuff still look kind of eh. Alright, torque specs next. Gotta get the torque spec for that. And that right there.